Everybody? So what now?
We will, there's obviously a lot of discussion today. We're going to go back and we'll process some of this. I think we'll reach out to the governor's office and try to understand better what their recommendations are versus what the study says and some of the things that we've talked about and what we know. So that's the starting point.
Did you know that letter was coming, or was it a surprise to you?
I did not know it was coming.
Have you spoken with the governor since the last board meeting that we had?
I've talked to his team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your reaction to the letter when you read it?
Just a little surprised. Just taken aback that it came, this morning. But I think those points we can address, and I think it does leave open the door to some sort of temporary funding, which might help us out. So I think we'll try to do whatever we can do to try to, prevent these cuts or reduce these cuts. But we'll see.
You said that you're not sure how much flexibility RIPTA has with the plan that it has right now. I mean, is any of what the governor's asking realistic?
There are some open questions around some of the federal funding opportunities that we do genuinely need more information on. But some of those things, like the rural funding, in order to we have more rural funding today than we have rural service, which means we would have to actually incur more costs to provide rural service. So, and I think the efficiency consultants did look at the JARC, that's a job access type services. They have looked at our different routes to see what does qualify and what doesn't. It is, that is always one of the buckets we're trying to use more of, but it's really unclear if there is something without putting out more service.
In the governor's letter, he talks about reducing management and administrative expenses. Much has been made about the potential loss of driver employment. One analysis has been done on middle to upper level salaries. The multiple middle level managers that typically inhabit an organization like this. Will their salaries be cut?
There will be. We are looking across the entire agency to rectify this. There's no area that's not going to feel pain. But I call out that the efficiency study does say our administrative costs are below average to our peers. So, but we don't have a choice. We're going to cut from everywhere.
The governor's letter focused on eliminating the lowest performing routes, which is already part of what the proposed cut package. How big a portion of the amount you need to balance is in those lowest 10 routes, or that bottom portion of routes? Or is the major savings coming from the frequency reductions and that other stuff that's system-wide?
So purely ranking off of lower performing routes, we'd have to cut 25 routes. There's just not enough. They perform less. We also put less resources into them, and that could be why they perform less. So to really get the number of jobs out of the schedule that we need to balance the budget, you can't just cut those things. You're touching every route, and that's what we're doing.
And right now, is there a projection with some of the trims that you've made of what kind of job reductions, what kind of headcount you have to get to, most recent estimate of what that would be?
We're still analyzing that.
Are you worried about a vicious circle happening where you start to cut and then the routes start to do worse and then you'll have to have more cuts and then it becomes this,
Yes.
So how do you avoid that? What is the strategy for that?
I think the leadership is giving us a clear signal that they've got concerns about covering that full cost and that full gap. At the end of the day, we do have to balance our budget, and we will. And but in terms of long term, where that takes us, it's not a positive direction for the agency.
Yeah. And also, I'm sorry, just one more. The idea of fare increases, that amounts to basically a tax on the riders, right? It'd be the 5% of Rhode Islanders who use this service would be seeing a tax increase in a sense, because they'll be paying more per ride.
Yeah, we're not ruling out a fare increase, and I really do hear we've heard this really loud and clear from the General Assembly in the session of you haven't raised fares in forever.
Right.
Again, the efficiency study shows that our fares are in line with their peers. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of agencies are reducing or eliminating fares at this point, right? But I think what we have to balance is two things. First of all, we're making massive reductions to service. So we're going to take away frequency or routes altogether and make it harder for you to use the system. It's difficult to then charge them more for the same thing.
And you'd have to charge a lot more to make up for the lower number of rides that might be coming.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that would yield. And the second part of that is, we genuinely are concerned about people's ability to pay more. Is that where you can get the money? And I don't know that is it. I don't know that's the answer. But we are exploring it. It's not off the table.
And the zoning thing that the governor mentioned, I mean, we used to have that years ago.
Right.
And then we came to the one state, one rate work. But what would that look like?
So the study, the study addresses this as well. We could, and we have been talking about certain routes being a higher fare. The 24L is one of those. It's a long express route. But the study shows that's if you're going to keep the base fare the same in the urban area, but you're going to go and raise this, it doesn't generate a ton of money.
Yeah.
It generates less than an across the board fare increase.
How do you think today's meeting went? Do you feel like, are you optimistic that you guys can figure this out?
I think today was good. I think, in talking to the director, we knew we needed to spend some time to talk about the efficiency study, and I'm glad that we finally got the consultants in. The report's done, got the consultants in, gave the board a chance to ask questions. They do have a lot of questions. They've been emailing me and calling me, and they want to know, and they want to understand this, and they want to make the right call. So I think the board's decision to kind of just slow down for a second, let this process this information, and make sure we're making a good decision, I'm happy.
And when could we get a final decision?
I will talk to the board about that. I think the director said it's days and weeks, not months. There is a point here where we are, we're technically short revenue now, but we think we could hold over until October 1, so everything has to be implemented. That's why within the next few weeks it all has to be finalized and implemented.
Yeah. All right. And so, do you know how many people use the Riptors? Do you have a number of how many people use RIPTA?
This is slightly old information, but I remember looking at the individual riders within the wave system, and we had over 200,000 individual people. They might have taken 1 trips or 50 trips, but we had seen quite a large number of users in total.
Yeah.
So do you expect a meeting next week or 2? What's the meeting schedule look like?
Well, again, we'll talk to the board and we'll figure out what makes sense.
You mentioned an October 1st deadline for something. Was it for implementing any type of cut or any type of cost savings? What's the October 1st deadline?
So basically, we're designing these changes around an October 1 implementation date, which means that we would get enough savings from October to June to kind of cover the first quarter of the year. So that's why it has to be kind of done by October 1.
But they'll still, despite these cuts happening, if they do happen, there'll still be a deficit in 2027 fiscal year?
Yes.
And you estimated that at, I thought, $5 to $7 million?
For really rough and preliminary, I don't know for sure. We're actually analyzing that impact right now with all these different efficiency study components to figure out what that does to the long-term projection, and we'll be sharing that out.
And that could grow also in the coming fiscal years after that.
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah.
Should the governor have sent this letter sooner? I mean, you guys unveiled this stuff 3 weeks ago, and I know he told me last month he was still waiting on the efficiency study to come out, but you all knew what was going to be in that study. You've been releasing that to lawmakers for months. Should he have said something sooner?
I think that's a question for the governor.